Welcome to the Wild Pod. We're trying this again. We had Sarah spent all her time building a fancy PowerPoint presentation, and apparently the internet recognizes that I don't need to be messing with PowerPoint today for whatever reason. But so
It's always my lot. It always breaks.
yeah, that's what.
Did SpiritCon, was told there'd be a TV for me to do my PowerPoint.
What's
no TV?
What's SpiritCon?
Oh, it was a convention for the spiritually enlightened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It better not be playing out loud. Let's double check this. It might be. Anyways, so where's SpiritCon at?
I don't know if they have it anymore because of the store that was running it actually went out of business this year.
Where was it?
It was out in Layton.
Really? So they had
They were literally like a block away from Jen and Mary's store.
so they had a paranormal convention.
No, it wasn't paranormal.
No.
No.
What would you call spirits?
It was more like a spiritual convention, but yeah, I don't know.
Like,
But it wasn't, they were like, no paranormal. It was just weird. It was a weird thing. I kind of was a fill-in last minute.
so was it just like spiritual, like hippie spiritual? Like
People that don't
you
want to
drive
consider
through the-
themselves to be Christian, but feel there is a spiritualness.
So you're driving
about
through
them.
the vapors of patchouli on your way in.
Something, man.
Okay, well I didn't know they had something like that. But anyways,
I don't even know if they still have it.
so you got messed up with the electronics, and if it shows up, we'll start
Yeah.
throwing it on the screen, and you guys might just see a whole bunch of pictures flash up.
Which always sucks because I do such hard work.
I know you got to quit doing hard work.
Like every time. It's
Got
my
it.
lot in life.
Okay, King says, "Hey, what's up, King?" He says, "R.I.P. Bob Barker." Now he passed away.
I thought he died like 10 years ago.
Maybe Mandela time.
Probably Mandela
But
time.
no, he died. He died at 99 years old, and you know how he announced the Price is Right. There's all those memes. He got as close to 100 as he could. Mm-hmm. So now, who is Steve Harwell?
No clue.
I don't know who Steve Harwell is. I may have to look this up. Steve Harwell, STVHARWE. Oh, yes, I have to talk.
Oh, he died a while ago.
Oh, Smash Mouth Cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I do remember
Okay.
because he was quite young.
When did he die?
September 4th of last month.
He
just
or
had
last year, September 4th.
No, just last month. He had a heart attack, I think.
Well, it says, September 4th. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I remember Smash Mouth. Heart attack, man. He's...
And Loretta Lynn, she died 1 year ago today.
Who?
Loretta Lynn. She was on my list of performers to go see.
Loretta Lynn, country singer? Okay.
Yeah, she was an old lady by that time.
Oh, and Duck Buckus, or do you mean Dick Buckus?
Dick Butkus
Dick
died
Buckus.
yesterday.
Yes, that one I do know. Chicago Bears fan, sadly. Laura says, hello, love this show already. Good topic. Always good to see you, Jared. You look amazing. Thanks, Laura. And
Jared always looks amazing.
hope you're doing great.
He does facials.
I do, yeah. Yeah, usually it's grease and drywall dust, but
I come over and it's just like, hey.
I'm glowing. Anyways, I wanted her to tell me about angels. So, I know you've had experiences with them, and you know a lot about them, and humana, and obviously, I don't. Nor do I know anything about them.
Well, I think everybody does. It's just we are in the mindset of don't pay attention.
Do you think that's what's going on with me? Is I just don't pay attention? I think we've had this conversation before.
Say it every time. Although you are one of those ones that just does not like to listen.
Like to listen. What do you
Yeah. Even when I tell him things, he doesn't listen. He walks away really angry like.
when have I ever?
Your girlfriend Let's talk about that.
What about her?
I was like, oh, you're going to be dating very soon.
Oh.
No, 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 no.
I didn't walk away angry. I just,
Yeah, it was like this. No, 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 no.
I don't know about that. But anyways,
He's a good tease. I love teasing Jared.
You should. As you should.
We have fun.
Yes. Anyway, so tell me about the angels.
Well, I'm going to just kind of read off of my PowerPoint because it's easier. It's a lot to remember. So I'm sorry you guys don't have that to look at.
You're going to have to read off your PowerPoint.
But I do have it. We'll put it up once we get it. Well, let me start by saying we kind of wanted to talk about demons. That's kind of where this whole thing about angels came into play.
Yeah, we got to talk about the good before the bad.
Yes.
And
there's an important reason for this.
Okay.
Because an angel, like let's say if it's a miracle angel.
A miracle
angel. There's different kinds of angels, right? You got your guardian angels, your miracle angels, different ones.
Okay.
The miracle angel that has fallen is still a miracle angel. They still have the same powers as the miracle angels. However, they are now in demon form. So what you learn about angels, you can, in theory, subscribe to. That is what you're learning about demons.
Okay, go explain that to me.
Okay, so
is there like miracle demons, like maybe a crossroads demon would be?
So we won't go into full thing on this because we're going to save this for the next time. But for the demons, there was a case in the UK.
Okay.
Where police were called in, neighbors were all standing around this house, like, just what are we looking at? And the thing about miracle angels is they're able to stop time, to make things happen that's not natural. That's kind of why they're miracles, right? Because it's not natural. Okay. They had rocks raining on their house and their house alone. That right there I would consider to be a miracle demon.
Okay, so you guys about to say you don't think what do you do to piss the angels off enough that they're throwing rocks at your house?
Oh, that was not a normal
a
normal response.
Okay, so let's kick off with just an overall guide of angels. Now you hear there's different levels of angels. Like you've got the naked babies that shoot the arrows all the way up to the eyeball wheels.
Well, the eyeball wheels, yes.
Okay. And then what is Metatron? You hear about that all the time.
Okay, so what you're talking about, so in the Bible how it's got YW Yahweh, but it's not, doesn't have the vowels, right? It means 4 letters. And that's what that Megatron, I can never say it, but that's
Metatron?
That's what that means. Is literally
Metatron means 4 letters.
4 letters.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but go on.
And so what they were saying is you cannot speak the name of God. That's why it's always capital G and then odd, or, we don't ever say the word. But the reason for that is because they believe the only people that could say the word had to be very high up within the Jewish organization.
Okay.
And through time, this kind of got lost. What's really interesting is if you go and look at some of the Native American languages, I was listening to one the other day, and I want to say is it Hopi? And they were talking about how they knew that this was coming, where the language is going to be taken away and everybody's languages were going to be split up. And so they begged for them to be able to keep the language as long as and so it kind of goes along with this. It was very interesting just to hear that topic.
So they made a deal at the destruction of the Tower of Babel, which everyone else then started to babble and they didn't.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's one thing I heard. I heard this in Judaism. I don't know where I heard it. I heard it in passing on another podcast or something. They were talking about the origins of how when they spell Elohim or Yahweh, they only use the consonants. They don't use the vowels. And I heard that came around because in the early Jewish alphabet, they didn't have vowels.
And that very well could be.
And
I don't know that
kind of
much.
just stuck. But that made it so that depending on where you were in Judaism, the name was always different. You know, depending on where you were.
Yeah, and how you inserted those vowels in there. And I've heard too where they said it wasn't so much that it was a word, it was like, let me see if I can do it. Yeah, but you're like, yeah, like that, like inhale, and then way, so that every breath you take is literally
So
the
when
word
you
of
say
God.
it's in and out.
In and out. So, I mean, I heard
it's
that
like
that's not true, but I think that's such a beautiful
Saying
idea.
it yoga style. Mm-hmm. Okay. I
Yeah.
get it.
And of course, at home, I can do it just fine, but on air, no. It's
Well, you know, I think you could do. Oh, anyway, so you've got Metatron just means 4 words because
4 letters.
4 letters because you know in Supernatural Metatron was like the writer of the Bible, and then in there's been different accounts of him as kind of a sideline angel, not an angel like the angel, but I don't know. Anyways.
It's so many theories.
But the angels are an interesting thing, so I imagine people would run away with fantasy with it all the time. Which leads me to, okay, so what are the different types of angels that we're talking about?
Okay, well, let's get into that. First, let me just start off by saying I am not, by all means, an expert
Compared to
or a
me, you are.
demonologist. None of that. Other people will say it. I will never say that.
Okay.
But, you know, it's all theology. But so every single angel has 4 main functions, okay?
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what species, what level, but it's when they stop doing these 4 functions, which is what is required of them, that they actually fall, that they're no longer considered an angel. So we have that they're constantly and continuously in praise with God. So they always have that sort of, if you think of that thread that's connected to God, that's always there. They carry out God's commands for all humankind.
Okay.
They govern over parts of creation. So there are different angels that do different things. And everything is assigned an angel. So like your pet has its own angel. You have your own angel. Some people have more than one. And then their main thing is that they're supposed to minister and intercede on our behalf. So when they're like, no, I don't want to do any of that, boom, they're no longer
Then
an
they
angel.
become
They lose that thread.
Do they become a demon then, or do they just...
Yeah, and so the way I like to think of it is God is everywhere. But because these angels wanted free will, they actually said, hey, we don't want any part of you. And God was like, fine, I'm going to create a void. In that void, I do not exist. This is going to be your space. And you are cut off from me. We will no longer be in communication. So they've completely stopped doing those functions. And that's now where they reside, other than when they're here on Earth.
So that's where the demons are. Okay, so now Satan was an angel.
Lucifer, yes.
Lucifer, I've heard it in the old readings, they were 2 separate beings.
And they very well could be. Again, it's all theology. But yes, he was an archangel.
But so what do you reckon his task was? Because we do know that Lucifer had the beautiful voice, pipes in his chest, the most beautiful thing God ever created, and then became all cocky, and then became kind of a douchebag. But what do you reckon was he just like the angel of flutes or something?
No. The angel of flutes. Wow. No, he was actually an archangel. And archangels are basically, they're warriors, they're protectors. They are within the 3rd level. So there's 3 different levels. 3 levels.
Okay, what are the levels?
Oh, you're having me go back and forth.
I know. You got to rein me in because I've
hold
got all the questions.
I do have all this. Okay, so there's 3 levels. We call them species for the choirs. So there's 9 choirs, but there's 3 spheres. And each sphere is its own level. So if you think of it like a business, you have corporate, right? They're just like...
Corporate is God.
They're off in New York, right? We don't ever see them. Then you have...
Satan was HR. Done. Figured it out.
Then you have your middle management, where maybe it's like over the districts, and then you got your floor workers who work in the same building.
Okay.
So you have those 3 levels, and then God's over them all. And I'm going to turn my phone off so it is not making weird noises. But they still follow those 4 functions.
Okay.
So you have Sphere 1. This is your top corporate level. Your seraphim, your cherubim, and your thrones.
Cherubim is the cherubs are the ones that shoot the arrows.
No, those are putties.
Those are putties.
Those are putties.
Why do they call them cherubs?
That's just how we are. We do weird things.
So I sure wanted a naked baby to be in charge, though. Okay, go on.
So Sphere 1, these are the ones that are closest to God. They govern over the angels below them, right? Because they're like top corporate. Mm-hmm. And they contemplate God's majesty. It's just all the time like God's
That
wonderful.
job sounds so awful. Just to sit and contemplate, like clock in and, oh yeah, he's a great dude. Best dude ever. Yeah, he's the best. That's your job. It'd be better than digging ditches, obviously, but
I don't know. Maybe it's because like I'm a female and I think about how I'm supposed to be submissive, which of course I'm not. But I think about that. Like when we were to get married, you were supposed to be like submissive and like, I worship the feet. I clean your feet. I clean your house. I wake up early and do everything because you're amazing.
I would rather run headlong into a brick wall. Anyways,
it's the worst, and I can't do it.
What these angels are. What do they look like? You're gonna have to, this is all voice description, so she's going to get into
Yes. Well, let's just say first, angels, it's a broad term. It's like mammals. So we have mammals that are dolphins, mammals that are lions.
Mammals that are
Mammals
platypuses.
it's broad. It doesn't have one description.
Platypussies?
Platypi?
Platypi.
I don't know.
That sounds like an
that.
exotic
It's a
dinner in
platypi.
Australia. Like a shepherd's pie, but instead of ground burger, it's platypus
Pie.
Yeah, platypi. Anyways,
Platypi. So, okay, the seraphim, these ones have 6 wings. They're covered in light. They are God's caretakers. They stand directly before his throne. Their purpose is to send radiance and the glory of God to all the angels ranking beneath them. And they are omitting or burning the charity or love of being in continual praise at the throne, and they are the highest level. And if you just want to go look this up, I can say like Isaiah 6, the vision of God in the temple talks about the one that had 6 wings and another 6 wings. They covered their face and their feet, and they were singing, "Holy, holy, holy, the Lord God of hosts." Now, when we get to personal experiences, I have a great story for you guys regarding holy, holy, holy. And hearing that.
Did you see the cherubim? No, I didn't. Well, how do you say it? Cherubim?
Cherubim. Putties. They're putties.
Well,
okay.
What is that one called?
Cherubim.
Cherubim.
So these ones have 4 faces. There's the ox, the lion, the man, and the eagle. But they're like 4 in 1, and they have a human body with oxen feet.
So they're off the He-Man show. The guy that switches heads.
They're a little weird. And this one's described in Ezekiel of chapter 10. They're the guards on the path to the throne of God, and they guard the Garden of Eden's doorway or gate or whatever you want to call
They're
that.
just not good at watching out for snakes.
Well, yeah. And so it says that in Genesis 3:24, he cast out Adam and Eve and placed before paradise a pleasure of cherubims with a flaming sword, turning every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
A pleasure. So, like, ravens are a murder. And
yeah, that could be.
And, ducks are a flock. Cherubim. Cherubim? Cherubim? I don't know. They're a pleasure.
They're a pleasure.
All right.
And they symbolize the power and glory of God. And they will stop anything that is unholy from reaching God's throne. So let's say something does make it up there. they're going to be the ones with the swords. Like, heck no.
So they're kind of like Cerberus in the old Greek tales and Roman tales. The 3-headed dog, except they're a 4-headed dude.
And, everything is symbolic. So with this one, they say that the ox represents Luke because he is earthy and directed in morality. I can't read. In every matter. Mark, as a man, taught simple and humble lessons. Matthew's the lion because he takes great pains to point out how Jesus was and is the Messiah. And Judah is the eagle because he wrote in mysticism, and an eagle's beauty always soars towards the heavens.
So Judah even gets a little face on that? The guy who sold him?
That's Judas.
Oh, Judah and Judas are two different people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go on.
These ones, the thrones, is what you were talking
That's
about.
the eyes on the wheels.
That's the wheels, mini wheels with the mini eyeballs and flying around.
That's the one that Enoch saw, right? Was it Enoch?
Yeah, I think it was Enoch. So these one, like we said, they look like wheels upon wheels with eyeballs, and there's just hundreds of eyes. And like this would make me poop my pants if I saw it. I think out of all of them, I would be like, no,
I wonder
thank
how big
you.
they are.
Yeah, I have
I
no
think that
idea.
would be the defining factor. If it's as tall as I am, I'm freaking out. But if it's, the size of a baseball, I'm okay.
Yeah, so these are the third level down, and they are the bottom of that first level that just stays pretty much there. Now these ones can come down. They are responsible for actually being the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, so they're nuclear devices also.
Yeah, and so these ones, they're known as the authority. So in the Bible, when it's talking about authority, they're actually talking about the thrones. And they're about perfect peace, perfect submission, God's justice, his judicial power, and destruction.
So they're the warden. So let me explain these pictures to you. So you got the first guy. He's got 6 wings. He looks like he's on fire. And he sings to God all day. Job sounds awful. And then you've got the next guy. He looks like a dude, but he has 4 faces. So his head has a face here, one on the side, one on the other side, and one on the back. And then the other one, which is kind of the cool looking one, looks like wheels, and then a wheel inside that one, and a wheel inside that one. And around the ring of all the wheels is eyeballs and feathers, it looks like, kind of. So those are your corporate gods, corporate angels.
Yes. And like I said, these are the ones closest to God. They govern over the other angels below them. And pretty much like they just want to contemplate God's majesty.
Okay. And what's the next level of angels?
The next level is, you can either call it dominions or dominations.
Okay.
So again, the level it is governs the one below it.
Don't look these up on the internet half-heartedly, because you look up dominations on the internet and you're going to be shopping for something besides angels. Go on.
They're responsible for regulating lower angels' duties. They look like typical angels, but they're covered in divine light with orbs of light appearing at the head.
So
and they carry a scepter and a sword with their royal authority.
Okay, so they look like the kind of angels you normally see. The halo, the wings, and they're carrying an orb and a scepter.
Yes, and so they're mainly...
Or sword and a scepter.
Yes, and they're mainly protection over different nations and authority. So if you wanted to pray for your police, this would be a great one to say, hey, I'm asking for the dominions to be with my police department.
So if we wanted to pray for Joe Biden,
well,
give him his sanity
I'm not sure
back.
much prayer would help him. I shouldn't say that.
You never know. Maybe an angel can correct dementia.
Or is it really Joe Biden? That's
Imagine if he came out and he was like, oh, I've been doing what? Go on.
So these ones very rarely interact with humans, and they're over grace of self-discipline.
Ooh. Definitely not visited by them at all, or enough. Okay.
And for whatever reason, I don't know what happened to that something.
PowerPoint.
Okay. So, the virtues or the strongholds is what I wanted to say. So, these ones directly help human beings. They are for patience, courage, humility, and strong spirit. They can help us recognize God's strength and believe in his love. They are known as the shining ones or the brilliant ones because they are all light.
So are these kind of your kind of guardian angels, or are they a guiding angel?
These are your miracles.
Your miracles.
Your miracle angels. So they're the
Okay.
most powerful of all the celestial beings that interact with us.
So they're not in charge, but they're the toughest.
Well, they're able to do a lot more than the others.
Okay.
Because again, they are able, if you're running late,
No, the guys that
you can
just
have them
stand
stop
around.
time.
The guys that just stand around singing all day.
Yeah.
That's a flex right there.
They have the power to heal sickness and foretell the future. They govern the material world.
Okay.
They form matter and nature.
Okay.
They control movement of the cosmos and keep nature moving.
Okay.
And when it's God's will for a miracle, they will stop natural law and interject as God commands.
Okay.
But if you are no longer an angel, you still have the same powers.
Really?
Yes.
So their powers are given to them by their existence, not by God.
Well, God created them. So, he did give them, but he created them it's like creating. Okay. If you created a cow, is a cow going to be a cow if the cow goes to a different farm?
Yeah, but no, what I mean is in the moment. They're not conduits for him in the moment. They're created with that ability that they can use, and so it's not like God gives them the power in the moment. They
always
exists
have that
with
power to exist with them. They're
Okay.
made with it, I guess. Then we have the powers, which is also known as your warrior angels or the authorities. And these ones are responsible for fighting evil. They're the guardians of heaven. They supervise every movement of celestial beings and evil spirits. So these would be like you're calling on them with the authority
So
of
are
God.
these
to
like
get
the
rid of them.
archangels?
I want to say no. Yeah, they're not.
Which ones are the archangels?
They're down another level.
They're even lower than the regular
They're lower.
cats?
They're lower.
They're like the janitors.
No,
I
they're-
thought it was
they're-
opposite.
They're not the janitors, but these ones want to maintain safety and harmony.
Uh-huh.
And they're beautiful celestial beings wearing armor, helmets, weapons, and shields. So this is the army of God that will come to defend you.
Okay.
And they are concerned with distribution of power. They coordinate with the principalities. They're fiercely loyal. And this is the only species that they believe did not fall to become a demon.
So none of them fell. Because they're all just single-minded.
Because they're very loyal.
Yeah. They're like Mongo. Just,
And
That's all
they
they say.
cleave to God. Like they just want to be with God.
Oh, he was probably hoping a few of them left. He's like, I'm tired of you guys hanging on me.
They keep our history.
Oh, okay.
They're charged with defending the natural order from of good against evil. And they help us with avoiding temptation, snares, and by engaging in spiritual combat for one's soul.
Now, do we know do we have any historical examples of those angels? Like we've got the wheel one, that's Enoch saw that when he took a ride to heaven.
We probably do, but I did not. I was trying to keep this a little bit
And then
short.
I think
so
in
can write them all
Revelation is
down.
where you see the multi-headed angels, right?
Yes.
The ones with all the animal heads, they're in Revelation.
Which that's one we already talked about.
And probably the six-winged ones in Revelation too, because it starts out that one with talking about how the hosts sing into him.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if the four horsemen are angels, or are they?
I believe they are. Did you see when I should have got this on the video, but where they were trying to think, where was it? Was it Egypt or whatever, where they had the horseman that was riding, it was green?
Who was?
It's back when they were having a lot of wars and stuff, like 10 years ago on video on the news camera. They caught a horseman.
10 years ago?
I want to say so. It's a while. I'll have to find it and send it to you.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
That one's pretty crazy.
All right. So we've gone through the thoughtless angels. What's next?
So that's your middle management. They govern the material world, regulate the laws of the universe, your dominations, virtues, and powers. So now we're into the very last level. So the principalities, these rule nations, groups of people, parties, institutes. They rule other groups of angels. They're responsible for giving us order, and they are in charge of the lower angels. There's two more ones that are coming. These ones are more of a human shape, wearing a crown on their head, and they also have a scepter. And they work closely with the powers to establish order for humanity and associating with our inspiration. So when you have somebody that comes up with a medical device to help somebody, or a brilliant movie or song that's very inspirational.
What are they called again?
Principalities.
The principalities invented Viagra.
Could be.
Could be. You just said it.
Could be.
Inspiration. They were looking for heart
But
medication.
remember, if there's an angel principality, there's a demon of principality.
I'm just saying that angel is wearing blue.
And they oversee your educators. So if you have a child in school, you want to look out for your kids. That would be one to do. Now we're on to the archangels.
They're almost at the very bottom.
They're almost the very
They're
bottom.
right above the little fat babies in the diapers. They're like the bottom rung. All right. Now, we've got lots of examples of these guys. Of course, there's Michelangelo, Uriel, Gabriel. He's the messenger.
Ezekiel.
There's
I think there's one. It's like Uriel, and then there's Azariel. There's so many. It's
now
sorry.
Yep. Now you've got Azazel.
Mm-hmm.
He was an angel. He's the one who taught us to fight.
Yeah, there is
like when he fell, he's kind of a. You've got Azazel and then another cat, and if you combine them, they're the Prometheus angels, because they taught us to fight and to build. And then of course you got Satan. He taught us to eat fruit we weren't supposed to. So I'm thinking he taught us, to multiply. And then you've got.
Because that's important. I want to multiply.
Uriel was a messenger somewhere. Did he meet with?
Well, and depending on what you have too, you're going to have a different set.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they mention them by name that they're or someone does.
Like the Catholic Bible has the book of Tobit. And that's not in my King James Version.
Okay.
And in Tobit, I believe it's Gabriel. He comes and he takes human form, and he assists this young man who's going on a journey.
Well,
and
Gabriel's also, I think,
he also informed Mary she was going to become the Immaculate Mother of God.
Well, I think he was all. Yeah, he did that. Was it Uriel that told Sodom and Gomorrah? I think it was Uriel. Anyways, they all kind of.
You know what? It's such a interesting big book, and you can keep reading it, and every time you find new stuff. Leonardo, Donatello.
Is it? Yeah, Michael.
I'm just kidding. Those are Ninja Turtles.
Here's how I've heard it explained: that the AEL signifies angelic status.
Could be. I've not heard that.
The name before that is because Satan. I've heard that his name before he fell was Satanel. And then he fell, and they just dropped AEL because he's no longer got angelic status.
Yeah, and your name always changes. Like, I have the Hebrew version of Sarah, but it should be Sariah, right?
Well, Uriel, when he falls, his name's going to be Urine.
Ew. I don't want to be named after urine. Actually, that's a type of horse pee that you can buy to put on your feet, if you guys don't know that, at Walgreens.
Urea means urine, yes. Why would you?
Some people get really dry, scaly feet.
I think we're going to get kind of sidetracked talking about horse pee lotion.
I just thought that was funny.
That's like when they make fancy lotions out of schmucks. It just seems. But anyways, so
I put a little smell goo on my face.
This is your archangels. Now, a few more side quests. The archangels, second lowest group of angels, which is opposite of what I thought. Are they like your guardian angels?
No,
No,
that's the lowest.
that's the lowest. So what are archangels? What do they do?
So these are the ones that are most well known because they're obviously mentioned by
And they have a
personal
name.
names, which usually that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And they oversee their own group of angels. They guide and take care of. They appear to most of us humans. So it's very rare you would see your guardian angel, but it's more likely that you would see an archangel.
Okay.
And they present not only the heavenly world, but also the physical one. Some believe there are only 4. Others consider there to be 9 or more, depending again on which version or book you're reading. So yes, we do have Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel. They're mentioned here. They help with protection, interaction between humans, politics, military, ethics, trade, commerce. And they help with grace and perseverance in the face of suffering.
Okay.
Oh, and I was wrong. It was Raphael and Tobit, which came to help. Michael's named in Revelations, Gabriel's in Luke.
Yeah, Michael was the one that struck Satan down. And who's the other one?
Gabriel.
Okay. And then you've got to remember, I believe it was Gabriel that went before Moses as well. Or not Moses, Muhammad in the Quran.
Yeah, I've not read the Quran yet.
I've not read it either. I've heard people talk about it. Of course, I'll be honest, I've not read the Bible either. So
No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know.
But that's kind of my new goal this year is it's like what I do every night now is I go and read my Bible. I did Zechariah last night.
Okay.
But it's because I have this like theory of if the end comes and I stand before the judgment of the throne, do I want him to say, well, you were alive, let's see, 99 years and you opened 1 page. That's kind of where I'm at. And also I find that I learn a lot. It's a good book for just learning how to live in a nice way with other people. Not that you have to have that because there are very nice people who are not Christian, but that's how I was raised. So it's what I do.
Okay.
All right, your guardian angel. So this is the last.
The lowest. So the
lowest of
little
the
naked
low.
babies are guardian angels?
No, there's no naked babies.
They're not, cherubs aren't real angels.
No, those are putties. They're Italian.
Putties? Are putties real angels?
No, they're not. They're like a folklore kind of thing.
Also, they're kind of a pagan thing.
Yeah.
Like they hung out with Pan.
Yeah, they're like one of those.
Oh.
They're not angelic. They're just what we associate with it.
Okay.
So your guardian angel means it's one sent from God or a messenger of God. They receive all their access to God through the higher ranking angels. They praise God continuously because that's what they all do. They're charged with our care, protection, and guidance, most present and recognized in our lives. So if you're ever like driving down the freeway and you hear like, don't go down this road, you're most likely getting a message from your guardian angel.
Okay.
Your gut feeling, I would say, is your guardian angel there. Everything ever created on earth has a guardian angel. So a rock has its guardian angel. Everything has one.
So even a grain of sand will have an oxygen molecule.
That's why there's enough angels to always go around.
Good, else you're just swimming through angels.
And they have different functions depending. So you have a guardian angel for your pet, a guardian angel for your home, a guardian angel for you. And all of those, because of what it is they're guarding, will have its own thing. So these are definitely not very powerful ones, but they obviously get their
Some
work
like
in.
kind of advice givers. Like they're not going to step in. And
They're the ones
kick
that
some
kind of,
royal
they
butt.
watch you and they're like,
Here's a
what the
question.
hell are you doing?
Here's a question. So, guardian angels. What do they do when, say, 2 UFC fighters step into the ring? Do you think the guardian angels duke it out in the ethereal side?
No, I think they
Or do
just step back and watch, kind of. I don't think that they would, because we have free will. They have to just let us do what we're going to do.
But I mean, do they like go against each other at the same time?
I don't
You know,
think they
little
would. But I
sparring
mean, who
match.
knows?
Okay.
That might be where having my infrared gun might help.
Yeah. Okay. So guardian angels, that's your lowest rung.
That's your lowest.
That is
so these are
mascots.
always with us even when we don't believe or don't want them.
Okay.
They're always praying for us and helping to protect us. Some of
Okay.
us have more than one.
Uh-huh.
And when you face anything that's like you feel danger and the little like hairs on the back of your neck stand up, that's usually your
So the
sensing
guardian
one.
angel follows you around.
Yes.
Sees a little bit of the future, and then it blows on your neck a little. Just to make your hair stand up, make you think twice.
Like, listen to me.
I get it. I get it.
And their entire existence is to protect us and to remain with us. So even when we die, they don't go to guard a new person. They're still with us. So when
So they're
somebody,
with your spirit.
they're with your spirit. So if somebody passes and you're worried about them,
What if you were a bad person and you go to hell?
doesn't matter.
They go to hell too?
They're always with you.
Oh, them poor. Oh,
But technically, some people don't believe
That's
we
a-
go straight to hell. Some people think we're in a kind of a limbo
Sure,
space until
okay,
judgment. I mean,
even
there's
then.
there's
but
lots
then when
of.
that's all over, you go to hell. They're in a Faustian deal. Like
Do you know what
they're-
I was reading, and I wish I remember where it was. It said that the time that judgment will come will be when the very last person who will ever accept God will finally accept him. And until that happens, it's not going to happen. And I'm like, how many people
Well,
does
here's
it take for that to happen? Like these
All right,
people just
let's-
hanging out in limbo.
Let's game theory this, because let's talk about people who worship Zoroastrians. Mm-hmm. Okay. The lead singer of Queen, what was his name?
Of course, you say it and it goes right.
He
on
was
my
a Zoroastrian, ancient religion.
What was his name? That's going to drive me nuts. Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, he was a
Wait, that's gonna drive
Zoroastrian.
me nuts.
The Zoroastrians, their worldwide population of worshippers is like 800. It's small. Mm-hmm. And it keeps shrinking because they come from Iran. Gilgamesh, that's a Zoroastrian tale. Anyways, they come from Iran originally, and we've got some in the United States, some in England, very few in Europe, and a few in Iran. And that's the only places they're located because they don't do converts. They don't go out and they don't have Zoroastrian missionaries. You might hear the name being called Keepers of the Fire, but I've heard that's a derogatory name. But they worship Ahura Mazda is their god, and Zoroaster is kind of their Jesus. Mm-hmm. Very similar story, except about 4,000 years older. Anyways, so they're a dying religion. So Christianity might one day end up like that. Like there's a
It
few.
very well could.
There's a few left, kind of in a diaspora spread out across the world, little, walking up to each other and making half the fish in the dirt, and the other guy finishes the fish, which is where the fish comes from. That was a symbol that during Roman times Christians could
Right.
sneakily signal. They just dig
It's
their
just
toe.
like, hold on.
They
and
would
make
dig their toe in the dirt
Yeah.
and make half the fish, and the other one would finish it, and they knew they were with the Christian. But no, that's interesting. Okay, go on. Sorry. I sidetracked, but the last when the last worshiper,
it says the last Gentile, Gentile, so there's the Jews and then there's the non-Jews, which are the Gentiles. So they said, well, somewhere in there it did say like when the last one comes, that's when.
when the last Gentile is born, or
No, when the last Gentile,
dies?
basically it's like all the Gentiles and they're like, well, none of us believe anymore, or I'm the last one to get saved, the last one to be baptized, I believe.
And then all those
And then
guardian
that's
angels
it.
are like, shit.
Yeah.
Because they're still there with everything. Imagine being a guardian angel for a rock. And then what happens if that rock gets broken in half or worn down by the tides? Do all these little guardian angels just pop up as it
I don't know.
becomes?
That's a good question. But who am I to say what is important? This is the thing, right? Who are we to say what is important? If it's important to God, it's important to God. We don't
Would
think
there
like
be
that.
guardian angels for sand on other planets?
Who knows?
Like a Martian guardian angel, one on Pluto shivering its ass off, even though Pluto's not a planet.
That's what they say.
So I've been told.
That's what they say.
Oh, okay.
But in my 1980s schooling, it was.
Yeah, it wasn't planted up until like 2003 or something.
Yeah.
I remember the day they demoted it. It was a very depressing day for me.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that? It's not big enough. It's not.
Did you ever watch the Rick and Morty episode where they go to Pluto and he's like, Pluto's no longer a planet, but his dad tells him it is. So they bring him up as the wisest man. Because they're like, oh, you're such a great scientist because you say Pluto is a planet.
I've only seen it one time.
Yeah, that one's a good episode.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. So
that's all of your 3 levels and the 9 species.
9 species. Okay.
And some, depending on what you're reading, there could be more, there could be less. This is just...
Now, you hear all the time about experiences with angels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got one, but you hear people write stories and whole treatises about meeting guardian angels. Michelangelo is the one that shows up the most, you know. Probably because... I mean, now I think about it, he's just he's not a janitor, but he's real close.
Well, you know, and we tend to think of everything in 3D, like it is, if it's in front of our face, it's here. But we fail to realize is they can be multiple places at multiple times. Like they don't have to stay in just one location.
He's the mail boy.
Well, technically none of them have genders.
The male it.
Yes.
He's not the janitor, but he's right above it. You know, he's interning right now. But everyone thinks of him as being so badass because he threw Satan or Lucifer, because it was called Lucifer in Revelation, right? Not Satan.
I think so.
It's Lucifer in Revelation. And he threw Lucifer out, which Lucifer is the beautiful one, Hamana. And Satan, I've heard Satan explain that they call him, in one point in the Old Testament, it talks about Satan being in the trial for if you're a good boy, as the adversary in the trial, which may have been why that got mixed up. Because they're more like a prosecuting attorney, like, you know, in the struggle session with God. Sounds fun too. Like, but he did this, you know, he, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he ate meat for during
Well, yeah,
Lent.
and some people, depending on who you talk to, some people believe that it was just like, hey, I have that 1/3 of angels that fall off over there, and I just need you to go and like watch after them.
Could be, but then again, and Lucifer means light bringer, which harkens to me as Prometheus, because Lucifer is the one who taught us, who gave us knowledge, which is the same thing Prometheus did.
Yeah, and you know, you can read that, like when you're reading through Genesis and stuff, where people will be like, well, Eve, right? Or if Satan did this and he said that God was lying or whatever. But what you're reading it is you have somebody who did something they were told not to do, regardless of the reason why they were told not to do it. And then instead of saying, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry I did something wrong, it was like, well, it wasn't me, it was her. So I always go back to that whole, if you are able to talk about what it is you did wrong and say, hey, I did this, I shouldn't have done it and I did it, would God take you back? And that always, like they say, well, that doesn't matter with demons, but why couldn't a demon say, I made a mistake? Okay,
I'm going to get controversial now. So if any of y'all out there in Wonderland are religious, enjoy the ride. So, we all know the story of Prometheus. Gave man fire, made the gods mad, so the gods tortured him, like tied him to a cliff, and a crow would pick his eye out every day, and then he'd grow back. Whatever.
That sounds
punished,
terrible.
right? Yeah. You know, modern Christians, their punishment isn't as harsh. But you mentioned earlier free will. We have free will. If it wasn't for Lucifer, Satan, or whoever, the snake, having us eat the fruit, would we have free will? Because prior to that, there was no awareness of your sex or any of that.
That's a good question.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
That's a lot to think about.
It is.
Would we have been able to achieve even a godly life without that happening? Because prior to that, we may as well just been angels that stood around and sung his praise all day.
Yeah.
You know, because there was no you.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's in trouble for it. He got his butt kicked out of heaven by Michelangelo, got thrown into the void. You know, he was an archangel too, so it was like the corporations running along one day, 1/3 of the, hostile takeover. 1/3 of the corporation gets fired because it wasn't good for the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about.
And then we used to live like thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Oh,
Have you heard the reasoning for that one?
I haven't.
Okay.
I've heard reasons, but
So I like the way that they worded this. So if you have a bread pan and you're like, I'm going to make a copy of a copy and then a copy of a copy or a Xerox. Eventually what happens, it doesn't look good anymore.
It degrades.
It degrades. And so we used to live a lot longer, but because we kept being held in sin, we were no longer like Adam and Eve because of all of the sins. So we eventually started dying a lot younger.
There's also some theories that float around that the atmosphere and the wildlife was different prior to the deluge.
Yeah. And then now they found waters under the earth where they're like, we can't explain this unless there was a flood.
Well, yeah.
It's just the craziest
We know the
stuff.
flood happened. We know it happened
Yeah.
because we're living in the flood. You've got the Snake River right down south of us. We got the cataract above Bower, which is specifically Bonneville Lake thawing and or breaking free and running north and south, north and west. So we know there was probably multiple of them.
Yeah. And then one of the main Buddhist countries, their word for water is 8-person boat. If you spell it out with all the stuff.
Water is 8-person boat.
8-person boat. And that's how many people were on Noah's Ark. We're 8 people. And for that to be a Buddhist country, that seems like a very odd coincidence.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you've got the Epic of Gilgamesh deals with the flood. All the religions born back then deal with the flood. And I think coming out of the Ice Age, the ice melting, there's a flood. Whether you attribute that to God. But the other crazy thing is you've got, when you line up Plato's story of Atlantis with when we know the flood happened, because we can scientifically track that now, the dates match.
Yeah.
So Plato says, this many thousands of years ago, this happened. And then we're like, we look at this rock and this thing, and 12,000 so many years ago, and they match. And that is a shocker. So whether you believe in Plato's Atlantis or not, just those two aligning is,
Yeah, there's some really, really odd stuff. Was it the Shroud of Turin? Is that it? I have a photo on here, but you guys don't get to see it.
Yeah, because
because of the internet, of this little Russian girl that she was seeing. Her family was not at all religious. They moved here and she's just started painting, and she painted Jesus. And there was a movie called Heaven is Real a while back with Greg Kinnear, and the pastor kept asking the child, like, is this Jesus? Is this what you saw? Is this who you saw? And he, no. And he just happened to come up when his dad was looking at this photo of this painting that this young girl did. And I think she was like 4 when she started painting. And he goes, that's him right there. And you think about all these little things that start like adding up. Like that gives me chills just for the fact that, the way that she painted him. And when I see him, that's how I see it. But there's so many little weird things.
Mormon,
yeah.
So the Jesus in my mind is the Mormon Jesus.
Very
blonde
white,
hair, blue eyes, buff.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked through the Book of Mormon at their pictures?
I've been downtown to that.
That guy who painted the Mormon photos, the Mormon guys are buff. I mean, we're talking.
Well, they, chopped wood and.
Yeah, chopped wood is right. They chopped wood. And
I don't know. I see him as being very, very Jewish because that's, they were a nomadic Jewish people.
Oh, man. If you guys get the chance, look up any Mormon painting. I'm going to see if I can find some examples in here. But anyways, yeah.
Well, while you're looking at all of those there, let me just say, I'm just going to go through this list really quick.
Yes, go through.
Of what angel you call on for what. So we have the seraphim. Again, we are calling them for charity, love, being filled with Holy Spirit, divine light. The cherubim, from protection with anything unholy entering your space, altar protection. You can ask them to guard your home even. The thrones. So if you are going to a trial, anything with law, justice, you would call upon them. The dominations, self-discipline, protection over nations. The virtues, these are your miracle ones. So healing of sickness, foretelling future signs, patience, courage, humility, strength of spirit, running late. If you need them to stop time, I actually pray for that one quite a bit.
Yeah. So the virtues, they foretelling future. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of not a sign to you, guardian angel, but they're like an overall kind of.
Yeah, they're like you're in the car and you're like, crap, I'm late, and then you're like, hey, I need one of the virtues to step up and just slow time 5 minutes.
If I could turn back. Yeah.
The powers, this is for finding out your history, defense when feeling attacked spiritually, avoiding temptation, safety, and harmony. The principalities is the rulers of nations, groups of people, schools, educators, creativity, and new ideas. Archangels, grace and perseverance in the face of suffering, protection, interaction between humans, politics, military ethics, trade, and commerce.
They got to get on this politics thing because we are... I mean, McCarthy got tossed out, all the stuff going on around Trump. I mean, it feels like we're spinning out of control.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't it politically kind of feel like we're just...
It does, and I'm kind of like just nail biting, going, please put Trump into the McCarthy's place, just because I would love to see the chaos.
Seriously. It feels
Isn't that terrible? I love chaos.
It feels like the pace car... The guy sneezed and hit the gas too hard, burned the tires. He's now heading down the way, just spinning. So anyways, real quick on the screen. That's a more Book of Mormon painting.
So basically, he's like the 80s Conan.
Hands down.
Conan the Barbarian.
80s Conan may not hold a candle to Book of Mormon paintings. I should show them on the screen. But I mean... Like, where's it at? There's even one when they're on a boat. I don't know which one it is. But there's like a kid, like a 12-year-old kid. And the kid is meaty.
Meaty. That's an interesting term.
I can't remember. Meaty. What's the guy's name? I got to look up the artist who painted it. I'm going to show one on screen here in a minute, but keep telling the story.
All right. So your guardian angels, grace, protection from danger. They can pray to watch over you, your vehicles, your pets, all that jazz.
Okay.
Then we have our common misconceptions.
Misconceptions are angels?
No, just misconceptions of what people say. You'll hear people say, well, Lucifer and Jesus are the same. So you have Lucifer means light bearer or dawn light or morning star. Mm-hmm. So here we're talking about a specific time, right? In the dawn, in the morning, you're seeing it. It's not a forever light. Well, Jesus is the bearer of light, the one who is always carrying the light upon them.
Well, I mean, Lucifer means morning star and light bringer. Lucifer translates into light bringer.
Yes.
Okay.
But he brought the light. He isn't the light. He brought the light.
Okay.
But Jesus is the light.
Right.
So the names, I can see how people would get those on there. But
yeah.
then you have, let me see here. Oh, here's my picture there. He has green eyes.
Oh, Jesus has green eyes, huh?
Yes. So if you guys are interested, it's The Prince of Peace by Akin Kramaric. And the movie is Heaven is for Real. It's a really, really cute story about a little boy who saw Jesus.
Okay.
So a lot of people are like, well, Michael and Jesus are the same because Michael goes to battle with Lucifer in Revelations. But whenever Michael or any of the archangels come, they always say, whoa, don't praise us. You can praise Jesus, you can praise God, but don't praise us. And in the Bible, it talks about Jesus being inherited. He is born, not made. An angel is made.
Okay.
So there are some differences there as well. And again, these are just my interpretations. I'm not a know-it-all. And here we go. Here's your cherubs. Mythical creatures called Puto or Putty is plural. They're Cupid-like creatures of passion. Little naked baby boys.
Naked babies? Do they have bows and
with
arrows?
wings and arrows.
Okay, so
That is not a cherubim.
I am fitting to flash some Mormon. This comes from the Book of Mormon. Now, I don't remember the guy's name, but okay. So we're going to go through a few of these. Look how buff that kid is. He's smaller than grandma. Look at those shoulders
He's
on that.
wearing more jewelry than me.
The kid is meaty. Anyways, so when you go through, I should adjust this screen so I can just flash through a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll go like this, we'll go like this, and then I will bring it back up. But anyways, yeah, they're just all, the guy who painted them, he was a famous painter. He painted all sorts of stuff, painted for presidents and people who needed paintings done for him.
Painting people is hard. I can never get the hands right, and that always bothers me.
Yeah.
Hence why I will just throw paint onto the canvas.
Yeah, I could not do no professional painting. But anyway, so yeah, it's
You
just
say,
saying
like, why does it look okay except for the hands? The hands have 2 fingers.
yeah. Feet are tough. Proportions. This guy, I mean, he didn't give a smack about proportions. It was all big guns, square jaws, he was painting for I don't know. Anyways, the ones, but look, they're
That
just,
one looks completely different from that one.
yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on here. Anyways, the guy, he always painted buff. This guy's on his deathbed. Look at those guns. Yeah. Like, I mean, look at this guy. It's, a Mormon guy covering his Mormon bride or whatever. And he just...
He's built like Jason Momoa in Game of Thrones,
Jason Momoa got nothing on any of these guys.
It's just like, hold on, let me put this over you.
I'm telling you, these guys ate corn and beef, period. That's all they consumed. But anyways, so we're gonna, yeah. But no, angels are, sorry guys, I leave stuff on screen too long.
That's okay.
Angels are an interesting thing, but they lead me into the exciting part, which is what we're going to cover next, is demons.
Yes, next time.
Demons. And I want to bring up I should have brought up some angel stories where people met angels. Sounds boring now.
No.
You meet an angel who's like, oh, God, hallelujah. But you meet a demon, and that guy teaches you to play the guitar real good and other things.
So I know we briefly talked about if angels were kind of created before,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And so the way that it's worded is I have created, and then I created angels, and then I use the angels to help me create the earth and mankind.
So they were like an intermittent creation to aid in creation. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's run through some comments before we close this down. Okay.
I'm not even close to done. Look how long this takes.
You got more?
I have so much more.
What else you got?
Do you think somebody can be born an angel?
Wait a second.
When somebody tells you I'm the Archangel Michael in flesh,
Can that be true?
I don't believe it can.
Okay.
I believe they can come
would
for a
think so,
short
'cause
time.
You would think that, but then again, angels, like regular angels, where they're like your personal angel, they sounds like they kind of pop into existence when you do, unless they're like just there waiting.
Well,
like
they,
they're in a
if
queue.
if God knew you before you were born, which this goes back into a vision I had,
Oh, so they're stuck
they're
with you
still with you.
when you're before the veil.
Yes.
And then, so then they popped in. What if you get mixed up, like your soul gets mixed up with the angel on the way to the body?
Then you get a new body.
They'd be like confused. But then you just end up being the guardian angel and go back.
My thing is that, like, I always tell people you can't turn an apple into an orange. They're both fruit, but you know, they come for a short time. And all of the stories where I was reading, they come
Can't
for a
turn
short
an apple
time.
into an Elton John.
Yeah, they don't just like, I'm not, you know, I do. I have friends who tell me all the time, like, I'm this angel incarnate, this not, and I'm just like, no, I
think
don't
that,
think so.
But I think you can use that as a description of your personality and mentality.
And then we have the Nephilim, which they found here in Utah. We did talk about.
We are going to do a
this,
full
yeah.
show on the flood and the Nephilim.
That's a
Just
whole
because
thing.
we've done lots of shows. Those who've been around for a while, we've done lots of shows on Giants of Kandahar and the Giants of Batshit Cave. I forget its name. But those are the Native American, the Paiute giants, the eaters of the weeds or the stalks or whatever. Yeah, we're gonna definitely do. I mean, there's so many Nephilim stories, and they're so interesting. And then, like, you hear about the cone-headed people. Are they Nephilim? Are they aliens who come to visit?
Yeah.
Did the Anunnaki make us out of monkey and Anunnaki DNA and mix them together in a vodka shaker and pour us out?
Like, here you go.
You know, that's a question.
The thing that always gets me are the angel numbers. How everybody's like, every time I look up, it's 1111. Well, guess what? When I look up twice a day too, it is 1111.
That also ties into another little event that happened last century. Mm-hmm. The end of World War One. That's where 1111 became an honored number, because World War One, the armistice was signed, the ceasefire was signed on 1111.
Oh, wow.
And then people go further to say at 1111 on 1111. That one I don't know for sure. But you got to remember, World War One was a very shocking event. And up until that time was probably one of the most shocking events we've ever seen.
We had wars. We had wars. But did we ever have a world war?
Well, kinda. I mean, you could consider when Napoleon went to war. That was a big
If that
war.
was all the world you knew, it was a world war.
And it was, I mean, it was all the world they didn't even know. But World War One was the introduction of full-on national war. Mm-hmm. Where prior to that, you could be at war, two countries could be at war, and you could be a citizen of one and actually take vacation at the country you're at war with.
Yeah.
World War One was the initiation of the world we live in today, with the papers, please, and what's your citizenship. That didn't exist before World War One. Nations were more pliable, but of course nations didn't get involved in your life as much as they do now. I mean, thank you, nation, for... Anyways.
Then there's feathers, coins. If you're thinking about a person and their favorite song comes on, that's one of my favorite ones where I'm like, okay, I kind of feel them with me. Like, I feel Nate every time I hear music.
What about when you're thinking about someone and they call? Mm-hmm. That's a freaking... Like, especially... It's one thing if it's your parent, you know, like they're going to call all the time, or sibling, but... Like, if you think about someone random from your past.
No, I have
then
a
they
phone
reach
call
out to
story
you.
for you.
Okay.
My aunt and my uncle sent their daughter away with her parents. So they were with the grandma, right? And grandparents. And they went on vacation and they walked into the hotel room and they no longer walked into the hotel room and the phone was ringing. And so she goes and picks it up and she's like, hello. Well, now the phone's ringing on her end. And her mother picks up and they're traveling as well. And nobody called
They
either.
did
The phone called each other and yet neither of them dialed. And they were traveling at different, like one was in Nevada and the other one was in California.
Oh, that is a cool story.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
That's immaculate dialage. All right, we got to run through these comments though.
Yes.
So, what else you got in there?
These are TikToks,
Oh,
but like I
TikToks?
said, they're not there. I have some stories like people talking about the one where they had the big F5 tornado in 2011.
Okay.
Several children from several different nationalities, different religions all saw what they call the butterfly people who were guarding and protecting them during that tornado. And that actually made national news.
Huh. We need to. We'll have to bring that up in another show because we're
Yeah.
pushing up on
I know, I'm
a hard
sorry,
stop.
guys.
No, you got nothing to be sorry about. Let's get through these and show the listener some love. Yeah, I'm out of gra- Okay, King says, all I know is children see them the most, both demons and angels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have different titles, angels and demons. It's like the four horsemen, they have the names. And we question the four horsemen. I'd like to dig into that some more. Some have higher rankings and the others have lower rankings or replace demons by angels. That's why there's some angels with 2 wings at times. I wonder if the number of wings maybe is a like if it's a rank thing.
And sometimes they just appear to us in the way that they sense that our spirit would recognize them. So even if your guardian angel doesn't have wings, if it were to show itself, it might show itself with wings because that's how you would perceive to know what it was.
And then looks like animals with human features. And then Laura says, which angel was that?
That was the cherubim, has the
ones with the faces?
it has the ox and the 4 different.
Ox, eagle, lion, and person. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did I hit that right?
Yeah.
That's right. Look at me. Ezekiel described an angel with several faces, so that'd be the cherubim. King says, very true on that. Very crazy stuff. What was your thoughts on the October signal that was supposed to trigger? Oh, we got to cover this real quick. So the conspiracy theory was, what was it, 2 days ago, they had the national
Where they just sent out the alert?
And a lot of people said, it's going to make the pokey poke turn you into a zombie. And my thoughts on it are, a couple weeks ago, Russia made an overt threat of nuclear war, and they said, we won't use them in Ukraine, we'll use them on the West. And apparently, a couple weeks ago, NATO fired upon Russian forces. I think they're just making sure that alarm works before we go into World War III. That's my thoughts.
And see, I didn't think anything of it because for me, they've done that ever since I was a kid. I remember
They've
it always
never done
coming.
it.
I remember it always being on the news or the TV.
That's
It's
your-
just technology's
That's
changed.
your local.
Yes, but
They've never done, and everyone national gets it at the same time.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
That's the first time. Now, if for whatever reason we're about to pop off into a little bit of World War III, I think it's a good idea to dust off the old horn and make sure it works. We all saw what happened in Lahaina, where they didn't sound the alarms. A lot of people got caught with their pants down. Though, let's say Putin does pop off a couple of those, what do they call them, Satan II rockets. The Satan II rocket or nuclear bomb is a nuclear bomb. You know, you got a rocket and then you got a head. And on that head, you got like 30 something little miniature warheads that are all aimed. Mm-hmm. So it gets above you and then blows up, and then it's like a shotgun of nuclear warheads, and they're all aimed and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I hope we don't. I hope we can back from the edge on this. I hope, Putin turns around and quits being a butthole. I hope that Zelensky, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. I hope we get back off the edge of that. But
speaking of which, I did hear, though, that before the eclipse next week, you should stock up on your food, water, booze, because hotels are booked out days before and days after.
Where's the eclipse going to be seen at?
I'm not exactly sure, but they said that in Utah, it's kind of a big place where everybody comes out because we don't have a lot of people. And so the last time, this happened, they were stuck on the freeway for like 3 days.
If you can see the eclipse here. Now, granted, I live out in Tooele where, don't have to worry about a freeway being stuck on it. But yeah, you should do that anyway.
You should do that anyways.
You need to you need to just commit this to life. I'm going to have 72 hours worth of food in my house. And once you're committed to that, then you say, I'm going to have a week worth of food in my house. And then but 72, that's an easy start. You can start that. You can achieve that. It's easy to store. For a week, you have to plan a little more. And then you go to a month. But yeah, preparedness is something you need to do.
Definitely is.
Anyways, got to shut it down. I got another show. They're coming in just a few minutes for the other show.
It's a long night, and I have to go to Benson Grist Mill for a paranormal.
Ooh, are you hunting the ghost tonight? And I'm wearing
my WOW podcast.
Yes. Are you hunting the ghost tonight?
I got my equipment. We'll see. I'm not sure. I've been kind of taking a break because life. Yeah,
life. Eventually you'll get married too. That's hopefully coming up soon.
Well, I don't know. Ryan's dad fell today, so if it's not one, it's the other. That's why he's not going to be here.
You guys force your parents to sell their houses. You guys,
we want to get him that bubble suit. That's like a vest.
You guys just buy one house they can all fit in, and you do Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where all the grandparents lay in the same bed.